Hello there, everyone, and welcome to GamePoints episode 220. Weekly get together, we talk about recent gaming news. I'm, as always, your host, Stephen Brown, and joining me today is...
I'm David.
Tonight, David. The big boys play chicken over who gets to announce what they got going on first between Sony and Microsoft. Trackmania says something really fucking stupid. By Trackmania, I mean Ubisoft, but we'll get into those details later. And... despite the past, what seems to be year of a bunch of studios closing down, we actually have a small group of them opening up for the finally. So we actually have some good news. But first, David, I want to remind everyone here watching live either at Twitch TV/GamePoints or later over at YouTube.com/GamePointsPC that this is an audience interactive podcast. Meaning that I want you guys to join into the conversation with your questions, comments, concerns, etc. Just try to keep them germane to the topics on hand. If you're at Twitch, we will try to interact with you live. If you're on YouTube, we will, of course, respond to the comments down below. David?
Yes.
What have you been up to the past weekend or so? I haven't really been able to play many games. I've been working on my Warhammer table.
Okay, so we actually... I forgot to give you a heads up on this, but it's okay. We're going to talk about it anyway, because Phantasy Star Online 2 finally came out on Windows. And I have been a Phantasy Star fan since I played fucking PSO Episode 1 and 2 on Dreamcast in the year 2000. And then I played through it again on GameCube. And this is a franchise that I've always liked. I paid the subscription fee for Phantasy Star Universe when it was on PS2. Like, I've played a lot of Phantasy Star games, at least the online versions. I'm not a big RPG guy as much. And I've always liked them. I actually played the fan-translated version of this game when it was in Japanese for a little while, but I couldn't really get into it because they only ever bothered to translate like the item names. And for me, playing a video game where everyone's talking to you and giving you quests in a different language, and all you know is I need to kill this thing, and then you kill enough of those things and you get some kind of notice. It's just not satisfying to me. So I was excited. Yes, cool. I can finally play PSO. So I installed PSO 2. I played it that very first night. I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. Like, the server's really full. The lobby's a little laggy, but once you're out in the field, you know, it feels like PSO. This is kind of cool. And then the very next day, I tried to play the game, and I couldn't. It was just gone. It didn't want to turn on anymore. It wouldn't get to the launcher. It wouldn't do anything. It's just broken. And then I head over and I start reading different forum posts. Hey, Ninja Wolf. And basically, PSO 2 is just completely broken on Windows. And it's 100% due to the fact that it was launched on the Windows Store. Because
8 years to bring this shit over.
8 years between the Japanese release and the US release, and it is completely broken. I had to try and repair the file, which didn't work. I had to completely delete it and reinstall it, which then let me launch it one more time. But again, if I close the game and try to open it again, it was still broken. The PSO2 launch on Windows is a flippin' disaster.
And to clarify, you're not the only one having this problem.
Hell no, not even close to the only one that's having this problem. Some people are able to play the game. They just launch it. Everything works. They don't have any kind of problem at all. But there is a very big group of people that cannot get it to work. So much so that the team that put together the PSO tweaker that allowed you to play the Japanese version in English have released their own version of the North American game. So you can download just the initial install from the North America or from the Windows Store. Then you launch their like fan-made tweaker that will download and install all the files and then correct the files when Windows decides to put them in the wrong folders or give things the wrong permissions, and the game will work. It has been almost a week-long process. I am actually able to play it, but I'm only able to play it due to the work of fans, not Sega, not Microsoft.
So there's been no official patch yet to get this working normally. Have they even addressed the issue yet?
Not to my knowledge.
Really? So there's been no, hey, we're aware this is a problem.
They probably have one guy that released it and they're like, okay, cool, it's an 8-year-old game, it'll probably be fine, we'll just leave it alone. It's really what that feels like. It's ridiculous. And it is seriously like a files permissions problem with Windows and the fact that the game installs from the Windows Store, because every single time I launch the fan fix, there's like a troubleshoot install button that every time I play the game, I click that first. And every single time I do that, it identifies 18 files that are either in the wrong directory or have the wrong permissions, and it fixes them before the game will launch. Every single time.
I'm just spitballing ideas here. Do you think this might be related to the fact that 8 years ago when this game came out, I don't think Windows 10 was a thing?
It's a game made for Windows XP.
Yeah.
There's an entire Windows between when this game came out and now.
Do you think that might be the issue here?
No.
No? Okay.
Because
like
the game
is
out in Japan and uses the Sega launcher and has zero issues whatsoever because while it was originally designed for an older version of Windows, it is actively running fine in other regions.
Oh, but it doesn't
Not
use the
using
Sega. It doesn't use the Sega launcher. It used the
it doesn't
Windows
use
Game
the
Shop
Windows.
launcher.
Yeah, and it's not even using like the Xbox beta, so you don't even use like the Game Pass launcher. It's using the actual Windows Store, which is a total joke. Now, the only thing I wanted to actually bring up is that there's a bunch of threads and people talking about how the game like hijacks certain drives. Oh, and if you try and delete it, it backs up the entire install to another folder on your hard drive, so you'll just be gone. You'll be missing 60 gigs of hard drive space, and it throws it into a little folder. And a lot of people are saying like you need to just take over and like take ownership of that folder, and then you can delete it. But the problem is that it's a Windows folder and not a Windows modifiable folder. So if you do that, you'll never be able to install another program for Windows again from the actual Windows Store. That is.
That's great. And you did say it. It's an 8-year-old game. Sega's not going to fix this.
It's an 8-year-old game, and the thing is, like, some people are giving Microsoft leeway because they are the only reason we have it, right? Sega didn't bring this over. They've had 8 years to do it. They don't care. Microsoft bought the rights. Microsoft put it out. It's on Xbox. It's on Windows, and it's a completely Microsoft decision. But it's on them to fix it. I am just here to say that if you are interested, or if you want to play Phantasy Star Online 2, I recommend only downloading the base install from the Windows Store, never opening that file for any reason whatsoever, and then getting the PSO2 like tweaker and using that if you want to play it.
So, hey there, Blue Right Red, by the way. Good to see you. Is it reliably playable with the tweaker?
I've had no issues whatsoever since I installed the tweaker.
Not that that's an excuse. This shit, I mean, if Microsoft is charging money for the shit, it should be fucking working.
It is a free-to-play game.
It is free to play. Okay, a little bit more forgiving in that case, but it still costs your time.
Yeah, it definitely costs a lot of time.
Good. Thank you for that update on a game that I just have no interest in at all whatsoever.
On an 8-year-old video game that finally came out. Woo!
I literally think that game came out around... Remember Rising Force Online?
No, I don't.
Okay. Fair enough.
There's no reason to.
David, let's go ahead and roll on to the news of the week. Starting off with this thing that has since been clarified, but I want to start off with what the original story was, and then give you the update, because the shit that came out of this rep's mouth it's mind-boggling. This is from PC Gamer. The headline: Ubisoft clarifies that Trackmania subscription-based but it's not the point. So, David, Trackmania. What is Trackmania, first of all?
Trackmania is a kind of long-running racing-ish franchise that's a bit more fantastical. Think Hot Wheels, the racing game, in that you can make all kinds of crazy tracks. There's always like time trials that the game itself makes, but the big thing about Trackmania is it's a fan-driven community where people upload their own tracks. You can go online, there's all these different playlists and matches, and everything's time trial based, like you're not crashing into people, but the tracks are completely ridiculous. You're doing loop-to-loops, you're going off jumps, and it's always just kind of been a neat thing, trying to race everybody. And people have made completely insane tracks where literally you just hold go, and your car will just go through this crazy obstacle course, but it'll just barely make everything because of the way they do all the angles. It's a cool game.
Well, Ubisoft announced with their upcoming Trackmania Nations reboot this unusual pricing scheme. So the base game's going to be free, but full access to the track editor, which is a major part of Trackmania's appeal, costs $10 per year, while full-on club access, which includes admission to special racing leagues, exclusive skins, and that sort of thing, will be $30 a year. In response to complaints about this, because this is so off the norm for them, Ubisoft has posted a message on Mania Planet forum stating that Trackmania does not use subscription pricing at all. The Ubisoft rep wrote the following: actually, and you can see the meme of the actually with the guy putting his fucking hat on when he says this. Actually, it's not a subscription model, but an access to the game for a limited time. You pay for having access to the game for one period, and that's it. What the fuck does this person think a subscription is?
No, wait. Well, what happens when your time runs out?
Following on from what the rep said, when your time is over, you have to buy the game again for that time if you want access it again. He tells me it's not a subscription.
I pay to play the game for a little while, but then eventually the amount of time that I was allowed to play, I don't have it anymore, and so I can't play the game anymore. But if I pay them again, I'll keep it.
That's a fucking subscription,
like
bro.
Any subscription-based anything.
This is up. What's more egregious, this or when EA tried to relabel loot boxes as surprise mechanics? Because at least surprise mechanics felt like I looked at that and went, all right, that's a clever rebranding.
Yeah,
this isn't even
you
that.
Guys know it's bad, and you're trying to spin it. They don't even know that they're saying dumb shit. The way
this is someone telling me it's not a subscription, and then giving me the definition of a subscription, saying it's not that.
Yep.
At least if they would have come up with like some different name and go, it's not a subscription model, it's just a reoccurring fee. At least then I can kind of like argue like it's on the same level as that. But this is so fucking stupid. In fact, it's so stupid that later on, not even like 24 hours later, Ubisoft managing director Florent Hillis Casternac clarified on Twitter that yes, Trackmania Nations remake is in fact subscription based, but added that's not the point. To which
the point? What does that even mean?
I don't know. Hey there, Dr. Yu. Good to see you. He went on to say that in Trackmania, you'll keep the 100 official plus the 365 tracks of the day after your early access, and it's more related to traditional offline game content, he wrote in a message posted to Twit Longer. By the way, if you have to use Twit Longer, don't use Twitter. That literally defeats the point of Twitter.
Yeah.
The question is that for online games that can benefit from support for years, what's the best model for each game? Casternac said that in his opinion, $10 a year of the service, and then the opportunity to pay another $10 for another year or not, if you prefer, makes more sense than paying full price for a game that many people won't play for a year on anyways. David.
Yes.
I got a couple things I want to ask, because you know Trackmania better than I do.
Yes.
Is this game only on PC, or is it on PlayStation and Xbox?
I've only ever played a Trackmania game on PC. To my knowledge, the original game was only ever available on PC.
Okay.
The other games, the newer games, might be on console, but I am not 100%.
Okay. Because my concern with this pricing, not that it's not an issue anyways, is if this is on console, and it might, in fact, I need an answer to this, because it's going to base on what I go. So let's look this up. If someone in chat knows, please let me know. Trackmania. It's Nations Forever. That's the remake coming out, right?
Yeah, it's on everything.
It is on everything. It's on Xbox,
PS4,
and
Xbox One.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, to play multiplayer on PlayStation 4 and Xbox, what do you need?
Oh, you need one of them fancy online accounts that you got to pay a subscription fee for.
So, Ubisoft is telling us that not only do you need to pay for a subscription fee, which is $60 on either Xbox or PlayStation 4, but now we need to pay $10 extra to Ubisoft just to play their game online.
Which,
so they're
isn't that how like Final Fantasy 14 works? Don't people play that game?
You know what? Do you know what's included with that? A subscription.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit beyond that, because this last part right here, Casternac said that in his opinion, $10 a year for the service, and then the opportunity to pay another $10 for another year or not, if you prefer, makes more sense than pulling full price for a game that many people won't play for a year anyways. It's not $20 total. It's $80. You're not paying $20 for the game to do this. You're paying $80, $20 for the game, $60 for the service. Now, you can argue that the service can be used to play other multiplayer games, etc. But that's not a factor in this price. If you want to play this game online, if this is the only game that you play online, it's $80.
I don't know about that one. Like, I get where you're coming from, but who the hell would have a PS4 and Xbox One just to play Trackmania only and pay online just to play it? Like,
if you have a console,
theoretically, potentially, that crazy ass human.
I'm not saying you would buy a console only play Trackmania. I'm saying you would only do the online stuff with Trackmania. Because, for example, I own both consoles.
Ridiculous.
I don't play games online for the most part on my consoles at all.
That's true. You don't.
But my problem is that when he says, "Oh, it's just $10," it's like, no, It is not just $10. It is shit. Let's say you play 100
$10
online
on
games.
PC.
That's a different conversation. If we want to talk about PC, we can talk about PC. He didn't say PC. He just said it's another $10 for the year service, but it's not another $10. It's another $10 plus 60 divided by how many games how many different games you play a year on your console.
This is just, you're having the wrong argument. You're mad at the wrong part.
What part should I be upset at? The subscription part?
The fact that they're pretending it's not a subscription and it is a subscription, which they kind of clarified, but it's a video game that you cannot buy and have. It is not a game that necessarily warrants a subscription. It's not a massive multiplayer game. It's not going to be a game that you come back to all the time. And I get what they're saying. Okay, maybe you won't play it for over a year, and then you don't pay for it anymore, and then that game's gone forever. But that runs into the issue of, well, why am I leasing this game from Ubisoft? I own Trackmania Nations, and every once in a while, I'll just load it up because it's fun. And it's great. And there's still people playing it online. They're still adding content to that game, which is part of the reason why they talked about having this kind of subscription service, so they can recoup some of the dev costs, because they do have a very long tail on these games. It's just the entire way it was presented is kind of ridiculous. And the whole you got to pay an extra $60 for Microsoft or for PlayStation. I don't give a shit about that.
So
That's
here's
for every single online game on those systems.
Here's
and it
where
is not
my
the
problem
fault
comes
of
in.
Ubisoft even a little bit.
Here's where my problem comes in, because you're right. That specifically is not the part that I'm actually that I'm not should not be mad at, and I'm not. I'm looking into the future. As more and more games do this shit. Remember how we talk about how when
It's
Netflix
the
came out,
of Netflix problem.
yes,
100%.
that's where this leads, and this is them testing the waters with a franchise that's popular enough to be a good sample size, but not really all that huge.
Not the big giant franchise that's going to piss off everybody and make them walk away. Something that might piss off some people, not everyone.
As more and more people start doing this, suddenly it's not just $60 plus $10. It's $60 for the online, plus 10 for this game, plus another 5 for this game, plus 10 for this game, plus 5 here, 10 here, 10 here.
Yep.
That is where I start getting kind of annoyed. 100%. That is where I'm leading. That is where my logic is leading to. You have to kind of step back a little bit from just looking at Trackmania. I just kind of want to get what your thoughts were on Trackmania alone doing it. And then now I'm asking you, realize that Trackmania is not in a vacuum here.
No, for sure. I just don't like bringing the console pricing, because this is still a problem even on PC, right? If I'm paying $10 a year to play Trackmania online, okay, how about I also have to pay fucking EA an extra $5 a year to play the next Battlefield online?
Right. Well,
I have to pay Activision another $10 to play Call of Duty, or I have to pay Blizzard an extra few dollars to play Overwatch, or I have to play, any and every online game all of a sudden comes with an extra little nickel and dime fee just to access the online content of the game. That is a very, very hard pill to swallow.
Yes.
And I would just stop playing online games at that point.
That's why I have an issue with the whole, in his opinion, $10 a year of the service and then the opportunity to pay another year makes more sense than paying full price. Like, no, dude, it's not just $10 a year. Mm-hmm. It might not be an extra, it might not be 80, but it ain't 10. That is where I take issue with him saying that, and more importantly, he knows that. And it's that whole thing where I'm getting more and more pissed off and less accepting of publishers telling me something that is A, blatantly misleading, or B, just an outright fucking lie. And I'm really, really starting to kind of just even hints of it. I'm going, no, fuck you. You're lying. I'm not even willing to give these people the benefit of the doubt anymore, because we all know where this is leading. And we're starting to see it with things like the Paradox thing. I love Paradox games, but they're doing that thing where it's like, hey, what if we stopped selling games and just went for $60 a year? You get access to all this. Mm-hmm. Like their own version of Game Pass. Well, why would I spend $60 just for your catalog when I can spend $60 to have everything on Game Pass? Game Pass, however, only exists because publishers let people put their games on there.
Yep, and then if all the publishers take their ball and go home, and we have a million different subscription services for video games, I will probably just be a person that reads books.
That is why I hate this shit, because I can see where it goes. And that is why we all need to be leery of when someone says, it's only $10. It's like, no, fuck you. That's the same logic behind microtransactions. It's only $1. Motherfucker, do you know how quick that shit ramps up when it's only $1?
Mm-hmm.
You save more money just spending the 60 out the gate.
That's true.
Because it's the frog in the pot of the boiling water thing. If you crank it up slowly, the frog doesn't have any fucking idea it's being boiled alive. And yes, I know that medically that's not true. The frog is actually smart enough to get the fuck out of the bottle. But it's a goddamn idiom for a reason.
Idioms are fun. They don't
Sorry,
very well.
It's one of those things that I actually looked up one day to see if the frog would actually get out of the pot of water. And there's actually been tests on this. And yeah, the frog actually does get out of the pot of water.
Looked up, sure. That's why I've never seen a frog anywhere near your house.
yeah, I did it on my own. To be fair, it was a real small sample size. There's only 3 of them. And they all did eventually get out.
Oh, man. That's messed
so, yeah, let us know what you think about this just everything about this topic in general. The whole balkanization of platforming services that I think is going to happen, which isn't quite here yet. Whether or not you'd rather spend $10 a year for Trackmania than full $60 when it comes out. I want to know what you guys think in the comments here at twitch.tv/GamePoints or down below if you're watching this on YouTube. David, why don't you go ahead and lead us off on the next topic here?
All right, this is a story from Gematsu Hideo Kojima, that guy that everybody likes, except for a bunch of people that don't like him, but I like him, so it's fine.
He really is, as a side thing, he really is. You either like blowjob him or you just can't stand him. I haven't seen anyone who's just kind of on him.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like David Cage and Peter Molyneux have similar.
I think I would take that back with Peter Molyneux at this point. I think that man's burnt every ounce of goodwill that he's had, and that's why you haven't seen hide or hair of him in the past 5 years.
Left. All right, that's fair. Maybe Peter Molyneux from 15 years ago. Anyway, Death Stranding was profitable and recouped costs. Profits secured for the next title. Death Stranding, Sony Interactive Entertainment and Kojima Productions' November 2019 released PS4 title, was profitable and recouped development costs, director Hideo Kojima said in a newly published interview with Live Door News. Moreover, the developer has secured enough profit for its next title. Sales and
actually, go through these one by one. I have comments on all of them I kind of want to get to before. So
yeah, that's why I was going to start on the sales topic. So this is a quote from Kojima. We've surpassed the amount we needed to make a profit, so I think it's sold well enough to be called a success. Recruitment and development costs included. We'll release the PC version soon and have already secured enough profit to prepare for what's next, so there's no need to worry.
David, what's that sentence say to you?
I'm still going to be hanging out with Sony. They're not too mad at me.
That sentence says to me that sales of that game came well below expectation.
Yeah, it was good enough to be called a success. It wasn't gangbusters. It wasn't the best game ever made.
Remember one of the GamePoints axioms.
Yep. If they're saying the numbers, that means the numbers are good. If they're hiding the numbers, that means the numbers are not good.
Do you know what we don't get in that statement?
Numbers.
A number.
True that.
So yes, and listen to how he words it. It recouped development costs. How about marketing?
Well, it says they made a profit and development costs were included. So if you take this statement at face value, which I know you have a general distrust of anybody in games, but they made a profit, which means they at least made all of their...
He didn't say they made a profit. He said, have already secured enough profit to prepare for what's next.
He said, we surpassed the amount we needed to make a profit. That is the first sentence of his quote.
Okay, fair enough. I was reading the second half of the sentence, and I completely forgot the first. That's my fault. Yeah. I'm sorry.
The first thing you said is, hey, we made a profit. And, I would even call it a success. We got our development costs back, yada, yada. We're also going to have a PC release, and... don't worry about it.
I was like looking at this second sentence that we'll release the PC version soon and have already secured enough profit to prepare for what's next. Yeah. That just it fair enough.
I think he's just more alluding to the fact that they don't have to go out and secure funding for the next game. Like the next game is at least partially funded. But I also don't know if there's any
keep in
translation
mind
errors,
that it's what I was about to bring up.
He doesn't actually speak English. This is all ran through a translator.
Yeah, this is Live Door News is
translator,
a
not a
site.
Google translator.
So that's true. That's true. I am trying to play verbatim words with that because, once again, to go back to the previous conversation, I've gotten to the point where I have to listen to what these motherfuckers say very carefully, despite apparently
it's just
not
harder
reading
to do
with
Kojima because you don't actually know what he said exactly.
But I would be curious to know if that does include marketing, because there are some people who don't fucking consider the marketing budget when it comes to if a game's profitable or not.
Maybe.
Anyway, that's where this line of logic started going down.
I mean, maybe we'll be able to find the numbers in a couple years, and we'll have a whole big blowout on how Death Stranding did.
Like the biggest example I could think of, and keep in mind, I'm thinking of this over multiple years ago, so it's been a while. But when BioShock Infinite came out, that game was said to have made a profit, but when people actually looked at the books, the marketing budget for that game and the first few years of that game meant that game was actually in the negative, because the way they were defining profit was from the development of what the current iteration of BioShock Infinite was being developed at till then, not the entire life cycle of BioShock Infinite.
Fair.
And that's why there's it's that weasel word thing. So I'm always, anytime something doesn't quite line up, I always kind of stop and go, give me numbers. Because ultimately, if they're not giving you numbers, that means it was not a success.
Fair.
Anyways, back to the article.
It sold 3.1 million copies.
Unfortunately, without knowing net cost compared to net gross income, that does not tell us which. And I don't know how many copies of a game they were expecting to sell.
3.1 million is
solid. Good. It is good
sales figure. It is not ridiculous. It is something that EA would call a total train wreck disaster, and they would pull all the funding for.
And also keep in mind, we have talked about in like theoretics that Death Stranding might have actually been able to be made off a cheap, because if you think about it, how many enemy types are there actually on there? How many different things are there actually doing that game?
It's mostly just VA work.
Yeah. And, well, I don't want to say it's mostly VA work, but like there's a lot of... You're fighting the environment. You're not really fighting anything else.
Yeah, that's fair.
So you don't have to...
And they didn't have to build the engine from scratch, right? Yeah. They worked with Guerrilla.
Saying that there's not really all that much of that game kind of disservices all the hard work that has to go into that. But when you compare it to things like let's do like for like, since they use the Guerrilla Decima engine, like think about Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
And all the random wild mechanics in that. And then
if you just want to go with a game that has a ridiculous amount of stuff going on, mine would be Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah. Like, compare the dev costs to Horizon or Red Dead Redemption 2 to the dev costs of Death Stranding. I'm sure that overall it was cheaper. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how much of, like, Kojima's hiring fee was, for example.
Yeah, well, we will probably never know. Anyway, speaking on to what he was working on next, Kojima says, I can't say anything since it's still in the planning stages, but we're doing various work behind the scenes. Just recently, a big project fell apart, so I'm a bit upset about that. Well, that sort of thing happens often in this industry. So he was working on something. We don't actually have any idea what it could have been. There's been a million different rumors. In addition to those rumors, there was all that stuff about Sony maybe getting rights to Metal Gear or to PT or something like that. And he was asked this as well, which he said, that's completely false. I haven't heard anything about it, at least.
That's not the first time they've completely denied that. So I think that all those rumors about getting the rights to them are definitely false.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean they weren't trying to work on getting the license to it.
Fair. But, I mean, if Kojima is anything to believe, that he hasn't been told about. So even if Sony is getting the rights, then even if they get PT or Silent Hill, maybe Kojima doesn't get it.
I'd be very curious to know what that big project that fell apart was, because Kojima's been chomping at the bit to do a horror game. You can just, every time he's like mentioned it, he kind of really wants to. So I have to wonder if it was, and if it's something that fell apart, I have to wonder if it was something that was going to be like licensed. And I don't mean like license from Konami. I mean license from like a movie studio.
Oh, like an actual licensed property.
Yeah.
He's working on a new Alien game or something.
Yeah. That's why I was like thinking of not necessarily aliens, but something related to the horror field. I don't know what it could be. Shit.
Anyway, that's our Kojima news for the day. That's all we got.
What would be a Kojima horror game? Like it's based on a movie, like A Quiet Place, maybe, or something like that.
Color Out of Space.
Give good money to see him do Nick Cage.
Right?
So, David, let's talk about some good news in the gaming industry right here. We actually have a whole series of new studios opening up, and this differs from what we normally have to run because for the past, it feels like a year plus. About every 3 to 4 weeks, we have to announce a new studio closing. Here we have 3 of them opening back to back. So, let's go ahead and start with the first one. Avalanche Studios Group expands to Liverpool. Now, Avalanche Studios Group, that is the Just Cause Mad Max guys, not the Endless Legend guys. That's Amplitude. I constantly get those 2 studios confused. So I just wanted to mention that real quick. Avalanche Studios Group announced today that it'll open up a new location in Liverpool, United Kingdom. A core team of 5 developers starts in June with the recruitment of additional 20 positions immediately. Within the next 2 years, the location is expected to grow over 50. Liverpool will be the company's 4th studio location, following Stockholm, New York City, and Malmö. It will initially collaborate with other locations on the development of current and future IPs from Expansive Worlds, a creative division of Avalanche Studios Group responsible for the successful The Hunter franchise. So The Hunter is kind of like their version of the Cabela stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Super hyper-realistic hunting simulation games. So I would not expect any new Just Cause or Mad Max from these guys. They might be working as a support team in that capacity, but not. Liverpool, by the way, is what was the home of Sony Studios Liverpool. I believe those are the guys that made the Getaway games.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's also where Psygnosis might have been. Actually, Psygnosis got turned into Studio Liverpool, now that I think about it. I think. Feel free someone to look that up and let me know if I'm wrong on that.
Okay.
I think Psygnosis, because the reason why I know that is the right ringing bells, because Psygnosis were the guys that made Colony Wars and G Police, 2 of my favorite fucking PlayStation 1 games of all time.
Oh, okay.
And then they got bought up by Sony, converted into Studio Liverpool. Studio
Psygnosis did become SME
That's what
Studio
I thought.
Liverpool.
Okay. And Liverpool did The Getaway and The Getaway 2 Black Monday, which were really fucking good, but janky all to hell. But I loved the Guy Ritchie-ness of them. Other studios that are opening up, we have Don't Nod Entertainment opening up a Montreal studio. Don't Nod Entertainment, the French studio behind Life is Strange and Vampire and Remember Me, opened up a new studio in Montreal, Canada, the company announced. The Montreal studio will work on a new project. Don't Nod Entertainment will be hiring from Montreal's renowned talent pool to fill the studio's ranks. By the way, Montreal, big hotbed for game development.
Yep.
A lot of game developers. I think BioWare has a studio there. I know Ubisoft has a studio there. I think Massive might be there. From Don't Nod Entertainment CEO Oscar Gilbert said in Don't Nod Entertainment CEO Oscar Gilbert said the following: "We're delighted to share our plans of expansion within the opening of this new office in Montreal, completing the talented teamwork out of Paris. Our goal is to create video games as close as possible to our community's expectations. With this new international team, we will be able to envision more ambitious titles and keep writing wonderful stories for our players." Is this Don't Nod's first satellite studio? Sounds like it.
It's very possible.
Sounds like it is.
I don't think they've been considered a huge studio, so this might be their first branch.
Don't Nod has really kind of exploded over the past few years because they started off with Remember Me, which was kind of rough. They got a lot of attention with Life is Strange, like a lot of attention with Life is Strange, which I actually didn't think was all that good, but hey, more power to you if you like it. And then they did Vampire, which I need to actually sit down and play, but I've heard nothing but good things about it.
The combat in Vampire is really bad, but everything else about it is great.
You know what Don't Nod reminds me of? Spiders. I don't mean the creature Spiders. I mean Spiders, the video game developer. The guys that did like Technomancer and Greedfall and all that stuff.
The guys that slowly get better?
Yes. Every game they do slowly gets better and better and better, and I'm kind of excited to see what comes from them.
Is your go-to favorite studio for guys that have gotten better with age?
Hey, God bless Spiders, but you could tell they have heart, and they keep refining their craft. They're not there yet. Sure. They're not there yet, but you sure as hell root for them. Finally, the last studio opening up, Paradox is opening a Barcelona studio. Paradox has expanded its studio system again as publisher today announced the formation of Barcelona-based Paradox Tinto. Europa Europa Universalis designer Johan Anderson will serve as the studio lead at Paradox Tinto. Anderson has been with Paradox for more than 25 years, working in production, design, programming, and creative direction roles for an assortment of the publisher's games, including entries in Europa Universalis, Hearts of Iron, and Crusader Kings. First of all, longtime people who follow this chat when I'm streaming know that I cannot fucking pronounce Europa Universalis. Well,
it's so
I did
great.
That time. Because it gets brought up because I play Hearts of Iron.
You read it, and then you overthink it.
I play Hearts of Iron Stellaris a lot, and that game always gets brought up, and I can never pronounce the goddamn thing. So this isn't the first time that I have tried and failed to pronounce that. Second, expect whatever this studio to make to be along those lines, because you don't take someone who has been working on those games. You don't
take that guy and make him make a first-person shooter. It's not happening.
Yeah, Blue Rat Red sums up best when I actually call it Europa Universalis. That sounds close to actually how I normally pronounce it. What's funny is that last time when I said it in the statement, it just came off top of my tongue because I wasn't thinking about it. Because it is what you say. You overthink it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Good news. Finally, new studios opening up. Hopefully, people will find jobs.
And they're, all hiring. So, if you live in one of those cities, hey, there you go.
There you go. All right, David. Do you want this next one or do you want me to take it? Because this one's kind of a personal thing to me. Like a personal, I hate this kind of thing. But if you have some hate you want to throw on this, by all means, and I can jump in.
You hate this?
Yes,
This makes you mad.
I have a legitimate reason for it. Well,
okay. Well, then
let's
do it this way. How I introduce the topic?
Okay, and I'll tell you why I hate it.
I can reveal it in a fair and balanced manner, and then you can just go off the rails.
All right.
This story is from GameIndustry.biz. YouTube is now the top mobile game discovery path for children. Over the past 5 years, YouTube has become the most popular way for U.S. children aged 3 to 12 to learn about new mobile games. That is according to a new GameBite report from Interpert, which regularly surveys a panel of 1,000 American children on their gaming behaviors. By the way, creepiest job ever. The latest survey found 49% of respondents turning to YouTube for game recommendations, just edging out their friends at 48% and family at 40%. YouTube competitor Twitch trailed significantly when it came to mobile games, with just 12% of kids using it to find new titles. Who would watch Twitch for mobile gameplay?
I mean, yeah, exactly. That's a YouTube thing. So, now as to why I fucking hate this. Because this is the goddamn reason why. Because I don't have basic TV anymore. I don't watch TV more or less at all. I don't even watch Netflix. All this. I watch a lot of YouTube, though. I watch a lot of podcasts on YouTube. I watch a lot of political commentary on YouTube. I watch a lot of mainstream news on YouTube. Every fucking 12 minutes, I get bombarded with a fucking advertisement for Raid Shadow Legends.
Raid Shadow Legends!
And this is why. It's Raid Shadow Legends or fucking Plants vs. Zombie 2 or Fishdom or...
That's because YouTube... And I know we have videos on YouTube, but YouTube is trash compared to what it used to be. Every single video has so many advertisements playing in front of it. If you don't click anything, you're watching like a 14-minute commercial for I don't know, some stupid TV show that I've never even heard of.
That's the fucking worst part. That it just goes.
It just goes and goes and goes. You just in unlimited commercials if you're not paying attention.
Yeah,
if you're watching anything, man, are you going to be bombarded with mobile game ads. It is a nightmare to me, but that's how kids are finding video games. Because according to streamer I like that plays Minecraft, he recently suddenly discovered this cool new video game called Raid Shadow Legends. And it's stupid and it's bullshit and all of these guys got paid. So I can't be that mad of them. And Raid, if you guys want to send me some money, I will absolutely.
Remember, GamePoints has a price and it's fucking low.
Completely heartfelt, super sincere. Oh man, this is Game of the Year on the front of any of our videos. Just send me them checks. But
like there's like the moral conundrum, right?
Ridiculous bullshit.
There's the moral conundrum of this shit where you have all these fucking paid streamers just selling this game where they don't even disclose that they're being paid. Whereas will occasionally get like an indie game for free. And in the fucking title, it says code given by developer or PR or whatever.
Yep. But also keep in mind that you pay attention and you're probably Man, I actually can't say that. I don't want to give you a compliment, but I was gonna say there's a chance that you might be a little smarter than the average YouTuber. Or maybe you're just a little older. Let's go with that. You're older than the average YouTuber. That's meaner, so I'll use that one.
So I can like different. It's
so you have an amount of like integrity when it comes to this thing, and for a lot of, especially maybe the younger streamers or the younger YouTubers, they might not even know that if they get handed a game and said, "Hey, can you play this on your stream and we'll give you a check for $100,000?" They say, "Okay," and maybe they don't think about the fact that they're supposed to disclose that thing. Maybe they weren't paying attention to that whole like Counter-Strike gambling scandal.
It's only a matter of time before the fucking FCC lands on these people with both feet. It will happen. Because if there's one thing the government is really fucking good at is going pay what you owe.
Yeah.
And if they can make...
Red has a great point. The marketing is amazing. They got everyone talking about it, hater-like, and tons of free advertisement.
Hey, you're thinking about it, and we're talking about it.
Yep. I'm gonna download it on my phone right now, and then I'm gonna yeet my phone into a lake.
So from the moral perspective, I fucking find this distasteful with that shit about how people aren't disclosing it. And from the personal thing, it goes back to what you're saying. I fucking hate that I'll be doing the dishes, and I have like fucking Tim Pool on in the background, and he goes for 5 minutes, and then the fucking commercial starts, and I have to stop everything that I'm doing and go fucking hit skip on the phone or the TV.
Dude,
because
it's even worse.
It will just go on.
A lot of times, it's not even that it's a commercial from the app that you could press skip on. It's the fact that the actual person making the video was paid a fee, and the first 9 minutes of this, I'm trying to watch this cooking video so I can figure out how I want to make this like mac and cheese recipe. And there's 9 minutes of a dude talking about how he likes the elf races because they're they got dexterity and blah, blah, blah. Dude.
David,
what the fuck?
These are the problems that we face in our life. And you know what will help you with these problems that you face in your life? Investing in gold. Let me tell you about gold services.
Let me tell you about gold.
It really chafes your ass, doesn't it? Let me tell you about MeUndies.
Oh, man.
I don't mind.
You know, I used to brush my teeth the manual way, but ever since I got my Oral-B Sensicare XX3000.
Heat your home with blue coal. That's a deep cut because that actually wasn't. So,
are you too hot in the afternoon?
The blue coal actually
AC unit.
The blue coal actually was like a thing from like the 30s when they used to do radio broadcasts and interrupt. And I actually don't mind the 30-second to 1 minute, like, let me tell you about movement watches. Let me tell you about Blue Apron. I don't mind that because it's only a minute. And if you want
only a minute, yes, but I've distinctly seen 9-minute advertisements.
Well, that shit's ridiculous. I have yet to encounter that one from the people. Now, are we talking like you and I reading this shit off?
No, not reading it, but I watch a lot of food YouTube. Like, that's honestly what I use YouTube for.
Yeah.
I like looking about food because half the time I don't make it. And I was watching like this guy cook something, and he's like, by the way, let me tell you about avocado oil. And then talking about avocado oil for 9 minutes. No joke. I started fast forwarding through the video until he wasn't fucking talking about avocado oil anymore. Like, bro, I'm just trying to figure out how you're gonna make this cheesesteak. I no longer watch those videos.
Do you know how many VPN
that person is
ads
dead to me.
I know about? Protect yourself with like certain VPNs and everything like that. It's and we all like for example, I would say in Blue Apron, we all know what these are because we hear them nonstop. Which means, guess what? It fucking works, doesn't it?
Hell yeah, it does. It's in your brain. There was always the joke on Futurama about how, we only had advertisements in the sky and on billboards and in commercials. And he was complaining about the fact that he had advertisements in his dreams. But this is so persuasive that you can actually still dream about these commercials. They're not projected into your head.
I straight up have before.
It's been drummed into you so many times that it's just one of those things that your brain has to unpack when you're sleeping.
Man, we went off on a wild tangent on this one. I didn't expect to actually take this long to it. I just wanted to fucking vent about the fact that I can't listen to a YouTube clip for more than 2 minutes before I get bombarded with 14 minutes of commercials.
I'm just saying, if I'm trying to listen to a sweet retrowave like playlist that's like an hour-long video on YouTube, and I have to hear another damn 2-minute pop song that I can't stand, I'm gonna blow a gasket.
David, let's go ahead and redirect things back to video games here and talk about this game of chicken. Let's talk about this game of chicken between Sony and Microsoft. And if you like chicken, let me tell you about Foster Farms. So I'm going to read you 2 headlines right now. And then I'm going to read you 2 headlines back to back. And then I want to talk about what these 2 companies are actually doing, according to my opinion. First off, this is from GameIndustry.biz. Phil Spencer says the Xbox Series X is on track for a worldwide launch this holiday. Head of Xbox Phil Spencer has reiterated the Xbox Series X is still on course for a global launch this Christmas despite disruption caused by COVID-19. Speaking on Talking Games with Reggie and Harold, the podcast hosted by former Nintendo of America president Reggie Fils-Aimé, Spencer said the platform holder is unlikely to delay its next-generation console into 2021. He said the company just completed its last hardware review last week and felt good about the supply chain required to launch the console. He said it feels like we're able to get enough units. We're pretty committed, as we've talked about, to a worldwide launch, which regretfully we didn't do with the Xbox One. It took us months and months to hit some of the incredibly important markets. Worldwide launch is important to us. He also told Fils-Aimé that Xbox is, quote, making progress with the software and the games of its next console, although notes that process requires physical collaboration, such as motion capturing and music recording, has been impacted by COVID-19. The next article is from...
I'll take the next one, and then we'll do the back and forth. So this story is from BBC, and it's almost the exact same article, except for it's from Sony. Sony confident coronavirus won't change release plans. There have been reports in specialist gaming publications that the coronavirus pandemic could have an impact on console release dates and availability. The PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan's confident, however, that won't be the case. And I quote, "It's obviously introducing a level of complexity any business would prefer not to have to deal with. But we're feeling good about the supply chain. We're going to launch this year, and we'll be global. We're going to launch this holiday. We're going to have a global launch, and we're feeling good about things."
Notice that article was significantly shorter than the other one because everything that I said in the first one can be applied to the second.
Yeah, they basically had the same cue cards.
Okay.
Coronavirus is a thing, but our system is still coming out on the holiday of this year. We're not going to tell you exactly when, and we're sure as hell not going to tell you the price until the other guy does.
And thus the game of chicken begins.
Dude, it's hilarious.
Because...
who's going to break? Who's going to drop $5.99?
If you're wondering why... let me take you back to the E3, I don't remember what year it was, when they first announced the pricing and the dates of the consoles. Xbox traditionally has led off E3 with their big conference. They come out, they're like, here's our Xbox, it's going to be priced at this, here's its launch date, all the hard information out. Sony goes usually a little bit later. Mm-hmm. They were able to take all that information, and they had 3 press conferences geared up, from what I understand, like scuttlebutt backroom deals. They had 3 of them ready to go. So that way they could counter whatever the fuck Microsoft said.
Yep.
And they did so to devastating effect at E3. It was literally the Simpsons meme of the guy beating the shit out of the horse and the kid crying, saying, "Stop, stop, it's already dead." Or was it a horse or whatever it is, but the kid crying, he's already dead. That happened in real time.
Yep.
Sony and Microsoft know how fucking important it is to go second. So you can respond to all the stuff coming out. The reason why I call this a game of chicken, however, is because the longer this goes on, the worse it fucking looks. You will have to eventually announce a date and a price, or else people start wondering what's wrong. And it's already starting to happen more against Sony. In fact, Sony was supposed to do a big reveal of PlayStation 5 games this week. It has been delayed, but for the most part, there was no talk of price or a date. I think Sony is trying to figure out a way to make this thing still profitable and not be $5.99.
Yep.
I am
They
convinced.
need Xbox. They need Microsoft to go first.
I am convinced that this fucking console from Sony is going to be $5.99, and like you said, they have to have what Microsoft is going to do first so they can plan appropriately.
Yep.
I think Sony is behind the 8 ball on this one, and they fucking know it. And the advantage, the way they can swing the advantage again is for Microsoft to announce their shit. And I think Microsoft knows that Sony knows that, and they're like, we can wait. They
can wait.
We've already seeded ground.
Much to them.
Yeah. Public
and
opinion.
If Sony comes out and says it's going to be $5.49, right? They avoid that magic $5.99 evil number, which if no one knows what we're talking about, in like E3 2008, Sony came out and said, the PS3 is going to be $599, and it was just destruction because
it's just dead fucking silent. People were like,
it was like
what?
a huge joke because it was so flippin' expensive and nobody wanted to
They
pay for
actively came out and said people will get a second job to afford this thing.
Yeah. And they really, really want to avoid doing that. But even if they say, okay, we're coming out and it's going to be $5.49, so we still make a profit on the system, we're not selling it at a loss, and then Microsoft comes out 2 weeks later and says, screw it, Xbox, $3.99.
Yeah,
because destroys the entire console war.
Microsoft, I think, is so hungry to win this one, they will sell that fucker at a loss to themselves.
Hell yeah.
Because
every
they have
one is going to come with an Xbox Gold subscription.
They have Game Pass to buoy that thing up, and if you don't think that they will sell those consoles at a loss to get people to buy fucking Games Pass, you're insane. And yes, like Blue Right Red saying in chat, they know that we know that they know that we know that they know that we know, which makes us absolutely nothing. But what it does mean is that Sony, who has been, we've talked about this over the past year, Sony is more and more looking like the Sony of old. The hubris, the arrogance is starting to set in. The shit they're saying, it's making me really nervous they're going to have that $5.99 moment. And like I said, I am convinced that the lowest profitable price for the PlayStation 5 is $5.99. And they can't launch at that price. Or is it $5.99? $5.99. Fuck, I'm thinking about it and I can't remember. $5.99, right? That's the cursed number?
Because we already found out that the actual build cost, at least of all the specs that were released late last year, came out to like $570. The actual manufacturer cost of it.
So it has to be $5.99 for them to make a profit, and they can't. We've said they're better off charging $6.49 for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And they have released consoles at a loss before, so potentially they can do that, but they really don't want to if they don't have to.
Meanwhile, Microsoft will just say, fuck it, $2.99. Here's your all-streaming one with Game Pass. Here you go. Give us $60 a year for the life of this thing. We'll make our money up then. Because Microsoft is hungry for it. And thus enters this fucking nebulous game of chicken where Sony and Microsoft keep talking about their fucking console because they have to stay in the news, but refuse to tell us anything about it when it comes to actual things we care about. Like, I don't fucking care how many gigaflops you have or your fucking RAM that you have in there. That doesn't actually matter. It's all dependent on how the developer uses it. You can have the most powerful system in the world, but if a developer doesn't use any of it, then who fucking cares? I want to know what games you have at launch, when it's coming out, and how much it's going to fucking cost. And they're not telling us that because they're waiting for the other person to move. And in this game of chicken, Sony comes out the loser the longer it goes, in my opinion, because of all the shit we talked about. David, what do you think?
I think I own a PC, and I don't give a shit what happens either way.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm probably not going to get the new Xbox because I have a PC. And
there's no reason for me to get a new Xbox because of the whole crossplay thing, which is awesome. I'm not mad about that. I think that's an awesome feature. Thank you, Microsoft.
Yep.
That being said, I can't think of anything that Sony could drop on a PS5 that'll get me to shell out the money for it. Especially at launch. Maybe 2 years down the road, there's like enough cool stuff that maybe I'd want one. But
new Killzone, Horizon 2.
That wouldn't. Neither of those sell me a console.
Okay, Metal Gear Solid 6.
Hell no, not if Konami's making it.
Damn, that's rough. What if they gave
could
Demon's
release
Soul?
the next Horizon, the next Killzone, the next Gran Turismo, a new Jak and Daxter.
All but confirmed at this point, by the way, that Gran Turismo 7 is going to be a launch title for the PlayStation 5.
And I'll still wait.
Dark Souls 2, PlayStation 5 exclusive.
Dark Souls 2 came out a long time
I'm sorry.
ago. If you're thinking
Demon
Bloodborne,
Soul. I meant Demon Souls 2.
still wouldn't buy it.
Really? No exclusive Souls game.
I am over buying a system for one video game.
Okay.
If in 2 years they've got a stacked series of games, sure. Let's look at it then. But the entire existence of the mid-series console refresh makes me not want either of these consoles at the end of the year. Why would I buy the launch version of the PS5 when I have what I'm considering concrete proof that in 2 to 3 years' time there's going to be a better version of the PS5?
David, weren't you considering buying the Valve Index for Half-Life and Half-Life alone?
Yes.
Okay. You realize that's $1,000+, right?
Hell yeah, I do.
Okay. You realize that this console's not going to be $1,000+, right?
That's right.
Okay. Just, you see where I'm going with this here?
No, I don't.
All right. Please, guys.
If I get a VR headset, I'll eventually use it for other things. But
if you buy PlayStation 5, you'll eventually use it for other things, motherfucker. Come on.
Except for historically, in the life of my PS4, I really haven't. That's just where I am as a gamer. Like I just I don't play things on console anymore. I don't sit on my couch and play video games anymore.
It is the exclusive thing that keeps me addicted to, like, on the consoles. I'm not getting the new Xbox because all their shit's coming to PC. Awesome. I'm a little bit less likely to get a PlayStation 5 because there's exclusive shit slowly starting to come to PC too. So,
yeah,
something to consider.
I don't want to buy anything at launch anymore, is the big thing.
That I can understand.
Technically, I haven't bought a Half-Life Index or whatever you want to call it because it's too expensive.
Did I fucking call it a Half-Life Index?
No, but I did.
Okay. Because I wouldn't be surprised if I did it. Let us know what you think about our theories down in the comments below. I understand that this does wade deep into fanboy territory. I get it. If you
people don't want a PlayStation are going to get a PlayStation. People want an Xbox, you're getting an Xbox. And I am super happy for you.
If you guys want to get into that fight,
then go to town.
I keep thinking of the Rick and Morty meme where he's just like, you're both pieces of shit and I can explain it mathematically. And I'm just sitting there pointing at the Sony and the Microsoft logo.
I mean, we already talked about the fact that for every one, you got to pay $60 a year to play online.
David, we got two stories real quick that I want to get through real fast. Yeah, the kind of story. First off, this is from GameIndustry.biz. EA renews its NFL LPA agreement. That's it.
Surprising no one.
Yeah.
EA is going to keep making NFL games. No one's going to make NFL games. Nope. You've been informed that the world is still round.
Yes. Also, and this kind of came out right before the show started, GameGearMicro announced. And that's all we know. I don't know if that's going to be its size or not. I see this picture. I don't have it up here.
It's going to be that size. It's too small.
I don't have it up here, but it literally fits in the palm of someone's hand. So this thing is no bigger than this, according to that picture. I don't think that's the case. I think that's just cute little marketing.
Have you seen the tiny little arcade cabinets? I fully believe that is the size of this thing.
That means the screen is literally the size of 2 fingernails. I refuse to believe. No, I refuse to believe that's the case.
It's going to be $12 and it fits on your keychain. Game Gear on the go.
Would you, for $12, would you get one?
$12? Hell yeah.
Okay, then that's the smell test, right? If you would buy it for $12 and it hanged on a keychain, there you go.
$12, man, I would get that just to talk about it. You want to play Game Gear?
More information on this is imminent. Apparently tomorrow is Sega's like 60th anniversary or something like that. I think it's 60th anniversary, so we'll definitely get some more information on this very, very soon. We just don't have it yet. David, that does it for news of the week. So if I want to know what the hell is going to be coming out to keep myself occupied before I figure out what games I can play on this GameGearMicro, what the hell can I play?
Not a ton. I will admit that up front, but we do have a couple things being new released.
I mean, you say not a ton, but 40% of this list I'm eagerly excited for.
True. There's one that is actually already out, but I'm going to save it for last because I have a little bit that I want to touch on, and I want to get to the rest of this. Depth of Extinction comes out for Xbox One and Switch. This is described as FTL meets a tactics game, which on paper sounds amazing, but it's been out on Steam for a while, and the reviews are not exactly flattering.
Glad you brought that up.
It does have some of that like FTL overworld roguelike stuff, and it is a turn-based tactics game, but I don't think it executed either idea very well. So it's a cool concept that maybe isn't the best, but there are some people that enjoy it, so don't take my word for it or Steam's word for it. Look it up on your own, but there you go. Outer Worlds comes out for Switch. You should absolutely play that because Outer Worlds is a super rad game. And
now, hold on. Which one's which? Is this the Obsidian RPG?
Yes, this is the RPG.
Okay.
You were thinking of Outer Wilds, which
one?
I understand, because one of the guys from Outer Wilds went to work for Outer Worlds, or vice versa. Who knows at this point? But yes, this is the first-person, very much Fallout New Vegas-style space opera RPG, Outer Worlds. I do not know how this plays yet on Switch.
The Outer Worlds is fine.
This game is fine.
Or the Outer Worlds is fine. The Outer Wilds is goddamn amazing.
I actually think they're both great, but there you go. Something that I am eagerly awaiting, Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics comes out on Switch this week. And that is a completely ridiculous sentence. I didn't expect to be excited for this. But if you really think about it, it's basically Wii Sports, but with more shit. Because 51 Worldwide Classics has bowling.
I didn't know that.
It does.
I know it has things like...
It's got a million different mini games. It's got chess. It's got baccarat. It's got, all the regular kind of board games you can think of. But it does have things like billiards. It does have things like bowling. It does have, I think it has a mini golf game. It's got a lot of stuff in it.
This falls into that category of if you're waiting in line for something, or let's say for some god unknown reason, you're still showing up to midnight launches for like movies or something like that. Something I haven't done in years, by the way. I think I've aged out of that. Let's say you're just stuck somewhere for like not hours on end, but like 15, 20, 30 minutes, and you have like a friend with you. This is amazing for that. And it's perfect on the Switch.
Also out this week, something that I'm sure you've already bought, Command & Conquer Remastered Edition comes out for PC. It's remastered in 4K by former Westwood Studios team members, includes all 3 expansions, rebuilt multiplayer, a modernized UI, a map editor, bonus footage gallery, and over 7 hours of remastered music. And my favorite part, $20.
Kane lives in death.
It is not a $40 remaster.
I am extremely looking forward to this. I hope this does well. Of cool, something cool that EA did. They just released the source code to this. So have it. Do what you want to it. At least I think they did. It's one of those headlines that I read and went, "That's cool," and then while I read the article, so there could be some caveats to that.
We are your number one news source. Sometimes we see articles and we glimpse it, and then we bring it up later.
By the way, I've seen a picture of the actor that played Kane, Joseph Kukin. Mm-hmm. That motherfucker still looks like Kane. Like, he has not aged a day. His beard is like kind of gray now rather than black, but that motherfucker still looks like Kane because he lives in death.
There you go. And last, and let's be real, in my opinion, least. It's out this week. It's actually released. Valorant is playable on PC.
People still playing that hot garbage?
Oh, no. I'm not playing that at all. This is Riot's FPS game that is very much a Counter-Strike inspired pseudo-hero shooter in that you're playing on kind of set Counter-Strike-ish maps with set weapons, but your characters have abilities. And it's hilarious to me that for a little while, this was the #1 game on Twitch.
I'm looking that up right now.
Only way to get into the Valorant closed beta was to watch a streamer play it and get a drop from their stream. But if you've been paying attention, at some point they stopped this drop to get a code system. And Valorant, last I checked, had a whopping 2,000 concurrent viewers on Twitch.
Valorant right now, looking at it right now, currently has 116,000 people playing. So that's definitely popped up. But however, let's look, because I mean, hey,
because I did check 2 days ago when I was looking at this stuff, and it was at 2,000.
More than half of that is from 10 streamers. However,
makes sense. 10 people that are popular are playing it.
So like 10 there's 10 on one, 6 on another. Yeah. So a lot of that
just come out officially. So now would be their biggest spike.
Let's compare it to, say, Call of Duty and Modern Warfare. That is streaming just as many people for a game that's been out for a while. How about Apex Legends?
Dude, comparative Riot's own game. Look at League of Legends.
Okay, yeah. Apex Legends is 23,000 people. League of Legends 128,000. So maybe Valorant's doing better than we think of. But however, as you said, it is its current time right
it came out
now.
today. So, but that being said, a lot of people like it. I know a lot of people that are playing this game and are enjoying it. I just couldn't be bothered. If I would just play Counter-Strike again. In my opinion, I thought the game felt clunky. The art style is hot garbage, in my opinion. But if you like it, more power to you. I'm not that elitist. I just don't like the games I don't like.
Okay,
and this is one of them.
Right now, the top categories on Twitch at this moment. Top is Just Chatting with 267,000 viewers.
People love Just Chatting. The big reason why that's popular is a lot of news channels are on there.
Yes, right now the #1 channel by a fucking mile is with 46,000 people watching is a bunch of cameras of the various protests going on right now.
Yep.
So that's going on. Then it's followed by League with 128,000, Valorant with 116, Call of Duty Modern Warfare with 111, Fortnite with 103, and then Grand Theft Auto with 95.6. All of these are in thousands.
Still kicking.
Then it drops like dramatically down to CS:GO of 42.3 thousand people. So yeah, Valorant doing really good.
That's weird that you don't see us on there, right? Right there.
Hey, we're in Just Chatting. We're contributing to that number, baby.
That's true. Thanks, you guys.
Actually, we're not actually in Just Chatting. We're in podcasts and something else. So we're not even. I can't even make that claim. Your point on Valorant, I think, is still valid with as far as like Twitch numbers falling off. I think it is getting boosted today because it is officially launched. Mm-hmm. Remind me, and we'll take a look at this game's numbers next week.
I want to give it 2 weeks
on the show.
I want to give it 2 weeks, and I want to see where the viewership goes.
Okay.
Now, I fully expect that this game will be supported by Riot. That this game will probably get some amount of tournament play, and that kind of stuff will happen. But I'm just curious.
I don't think it hit.
I don't think this is the Counter-Strike killer that people thought it was.
Yeah, I don't think so either. We'll see in a couple weeks. We'll take a look at the numbers back then.
Yep.
David?
Anyway, this video has been sponsored by Valorant and Raid Shadow Legends.
God damn it. That brings us to the end of new releases and thus the end of the show. This has been GamePoints episode 220, and thank you all very much for showing up. Blue Art Red, Tim, Ninja Wolf, Dr. Hugo, and to everyone else who happens to be lurking in chat or watching this later on youtube.com/GamePointsPC. Thank you very much. If you like what you see here, and God knows why, you can support the stream by any number of ways that streamers like. You know what those are. Likes, follows, notifications turned on, bits, subscriptions. If you're sitting on that Amazon free sub, I'd appreciate that here, but if you don't use it, use it somewhere. We'll go back to normal streaming Wednesday, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here at Twitch TV/GamePoints with something. I'm getting that Hearts of Iron craving again, so if you're here for that, stay tuned. Discord you can join, link provided down below. You can follow the show at GamePointsPC on Twitter. You can follow myself, Stephen Brown, at CapitalistPig21, and you can follow David Smith there at Palshife_Satori. Once again, thank you all very much for showing up. This has been GamePoints, and we're out of here.